The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
A snappy welcome, my dears. As you all know, snappy means smart and happy. So before moving on to the session, let's see a picture. I know you all will be familiar with this picture, right? The world of ha ha ha, that is the world of happiness. Have you ever thought about your happiness or what makes you happy? Just think about it. Let's begin today's session. So children, true happiness lies in the present without being too anxious about the future. Don't you think so? In today's class, we are going to learn a new poem, A Prayer in Spring, written by Robert Frost. So, in this poem, the poet urges the reader to enjoy the nature and seek happiness from nature. And he also points out that happiness lies in the present and we must not be too anxious about the future. So now, let's begin the poem. A Prayer in Spring, written by Robert Frost. Do you know who is Robert Frost? Robert Frost, an American poet, is much admired for his realistic verse that depicts the rural life of New England. Some of his most notable works are The Road Not Taken, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, A Boy's Will, and After Apple Picking. He won Pulitzer Prize 4 times and was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature 31 times. Children, this is all about the poet. Now I will read out the poem. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away. As the uncertain harvest, keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard white, like nothing else by day, like ghosts by night. And make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees. And make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thrusts in with needle bill and of a blossom in mid-air stands still. For this is love and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above to sanctify to what far ends He will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. So children, from the title itself we can understand that the poet speaks about spring season. The title points towards the way in which the poem operates as a simple evocation of the beauty of God's creation, and also it expresses sincere thanks to God by the poet for his beautiful creations. Children, the poem begins with the speaker asking for peace and happiness through nature, but isn't sure that if he is going to get it. Now I will read out the first stanza. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away. As the uncertain harvest, keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. So in the first stanza, the poet invokes God to give the human pleasure in the flowers that bloom every day, and he also pleads the Lord not to think of the future or the upcoming days like the uncertain harvest, that is we cannot predict the harvest or what will happen in the future. Similarly, he says that we should not worry about the future and we must be happy at the present. That is, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. That means we should be happy at what we are doing now and not worry about the harvest that will come months later. And God has created us here in the beginning of the spring season just to enjoy the pleasures of nature, and He considers spring as a season of new birth. So this is about first stanza. Now let's move on to the second stanza. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard white, like nothing else by day, like goes by night. And make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating around the perfect trees. So here also again the poet pleads to God to give pleasure in the white orchard, that is the flowers which looks the same during the daytime and it looks like a ghost during the night time. And the poet wants the God to make us happy by seeing the swarm of bees singing and dancing around the trees. So children, poet wants to convey that we must be happy by seeing all these things in nature. And make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard. The meteor that thrusts in with needle bill and of a blossom in mid-air stands still. So here also the poet appeals to God to make the people happy by seeing the darting bird who is seen above the swarm of bees. That is, the bird is sitting above the swarm of bees which are dancing and singing around the trees. And the meteor which comes from the sky touches the flower as if it is kissing the flowers, and it is so happy that it stands still in the mid-air. Final stanza. For this is love and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above to sanctify to what far ends He will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. So this is the final stanza of this poem, and in this stanza he says that what God has given us, that is the happiness, joy, birds, butterflies, trees, all these are considered as love and nothing else is considered as love. And there is nothing else like these natural things. And there are a lot of things around the world that we do not understand or that we cannot understand. Other than this, these things are reserved for God above. That is, there are so many things which we cannot understand, and all such things are always reserved for God. And they are used by God for His own will. So all these things or all those things are used by God for His own will. But the spring and the flowers, birds and bees, they are able to bring a very simple pleasure in the human mind which are easily understood. So children, see the last two lines. To sanctify to what far ends He will, but which it only needs that we fulfill. So here he refers to whom? That is God. He refers to God, and what the poet wants to say is that if we try to know God, the above supreme or the Lord, He will sanctify us to a great extent as much as He can, and this sanctification will make us to do our deeds, and thus we have to fulfill His needs. So children, this is a very small poem in which the poet speaks about his happiness that he gains from nature, or he finds happiness from small things that surrounds him. So most of the time we are very much worried and we are not happy with what we have, right? So just try to change that attitude and always be happy with what we have and try to make others happy. So children, as we are youngsters, we should learn to enjoy the present without bothering too much about the unborn tomorrow. Okay? So let's wind up the session. Meet you in the next class. Till then, it's bye from your Apana teacher.